Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second part of the CD collection, of my CD collection, and I got a little bev for the video, and it's Pepsi. And to be honest, I like all three, Pepsi, Coke, and DP. You know, I can get behind all of them. Honestly, it depends on what mood I'm in. But yeah, thanks to everyone who watched the last one. All 12. Thank you. And yeah, let's just keep going with this collection. Okay, so first we have Run DMC's Raising Hell. To be honest, this is one of my favorite hip hop albums from the 80s. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, when did this come out exactly? Yeah, 86. So yeah, this is one of my favorite hip hop albums from the 80s. I don't know, just the energy they came out with on this one is really nice to see. And you know, it's loud, it's everything that this type of genre of hip hop should be. And yeah, I just really enjoy it. It's honestly a no skip, in my opinion. And I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. But yeah, fantastic album. And yeah. And kind of following along with that is Beastie Boys' License to Kill. And this album is also a really good album. See, both of these albums from this era are really good. Like from this type of artists like Beastie Boys and Run DMC, they're all really good. And you know, they just have this like explosive energy that just, like, to be honest, is something you only see showcased in like these few albums by these artists, you know, the confidence and whatnot. But yeah, also really good album. And next up, okay, so this one you kind of need some explaining. So I have Joji Nectar burned onto a CD because to my knowledge he doesn't sell his what is it, he doesn't sell his the rest of his discography on CD. So I'm gonna have to burn the other two, but I burnt this one first because this is probably my second favorite album of all time, maybe my third. It's definitely in the top 3 for sure. This is something that really changed my view on music when I first listened to it, and it's honestly like what started this whole collection, to be honest. Like Joji listening to Nectar, you know, for the first time. And yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, for those who know me, this is a no skip. It, you know, like even some of the songs that I was initially too hyped on grew on me. Like Reanimator, that shit grew on me, okay? Like it is fire. And some of the songs, you know, I feel like one of the main criticisms of Joji is that some of his songs are a little underdeveloped, which I can, you know, is fair, but also like it brings a nice atmosphere to the song, the more stripped back sounds and the shorter songs. And other Joji album I have is Smithereens. This was the only one he released on CD, to my knowledge, and that was released on CD. And yeah, I got it at Target. This is probably the second CD I got. This was the second CD I got. I got a random one before, which might be showcased in this video. I don't know if I'll get to it today, but it's the Target red version, so it's red cover instead of blue. And you know, this album really grew on me. I actually went back and forth with how I felt about it, like feeling that it was either like, you know, when I first listened to it, I listened to it when it came out, and I was like, this is fire, this is really good. And then, you know, as I kept listening to it, and I'm like, okay, maybe, you know, it's all right, definitely not his best, you know. But right now I'm back to the point where I'm like, this is a good album, you know. Reflecting on his discography, I think this is a solid album, and I think it carries a lot of the raw emotion that were in from some of Nectar's songs, like You Do and You know, that it carries that emotionally charged style into this album, and I think he puts more of that into this album, and I think it really shows. And I do think this is a good album. It definitely has a place in his discography. Speaking of, this actually is a timely video because in 3 days, it's February 3rd as recording, Piss in the Wind comes out February 6th. First Joji project in 3 years. In 3 and a bit years. And yeah, I'm very excited. I'll probably do a review on that. I don't know. But yeah. And I pre-ordered the CD, so I'll be able to have that too. Next artist, we have Ricky Montgomery Ricky. And, you know, this album is also really good. I know this is in my opinion, his music still holds up to this day. And, you know, and people have a lot of nostalgia towards this album, and I think it's definitely warranted. And I think the songs in here are just like, you know, they're fun and they're high energy. And yeah, I just really enjoy this album. Also, his concert was really good, surprisingly good. And then Rick, this album also really good. I think I listened to this one more than Montgomery Ricky, and it's really good, and the interludes are really good, and I think it tells a really nice story. And yeah, I mean, not much else to say. I mean, obviously, Sometimes I Need to Be Alone is in my top 100 songs of all time. And yeah, I mean, this album's it's just really good. Again, he's got some really solid albums. I think these two showcase that. Okay, so next up, we have Jimi Hendrix. One of my favorite artists of all time. You know, one of my favorite guitarists of all time. I mean, I think that's the same case for a lot of people. His music is just fire. And so, you know, this is my chase CD for a long time, because for some reason I could find other Hendrix albums, a lot of greatest hits albums in stores, but I could never find Electric Ladyland. And this is also like probably my top 10 albums of all time. It's really good, and the guitar from this album is phenomenal. I mean, you could say that for all of Hendrix's albums, but this one is also just a really nice example of that. And yeah, I just really enjoy it. And this is the first Hendrix album I listened to, so there's also the feeling of that as well, where it's, you know, first album of an artist that I listened to. And next up, Axis Bold as Love. Excuse me. Axis Bold as Love. This album as well, phenomenal. You know, I think it's got some bangers. It's got some bops on here. You know, Spanish Castle Magic and Castles Made of Sand. There's some bops, you know, and this was I was able to find this in the store, which was very nice. I still want to get Are You Experienced too. I think that's probably the last Jimi Hendrix album I'll get, because it's also a really good album. Or maybe I might just get the discography, because, you know, he didn't have that many albums. But yeah, no, this is definitely the good album, and I like how the art's vertical. I think that's fun. And I might just group these together because they're both greatest hits. Jimi Hendrix greatest hits. You know, it's got all the highlights on there, everything you'd want from it. Both of these combined, if you just want to listen to, you know, obviously it's kind of redundant to say if you want to listen to Jimi Hendrix's greatest hits, you know, get the greatest hits. But I mean, it is true. If you're just looking for just Jimi Hendrix, you know, if you're ever feeling Jimi Hendrix on a certain day and you don't feel like listening to an album, I definitely recommend this one. This one's definitely really good for that. It's just got all the bangers, you know. And moving on from that, we have Arctic Monkeys, one of my favorite bands of all time. And starting off their debut, whatever people say I am, that's what I'm not. I think all of the albums, except for Suckin' and See, in my opinion, can be argued to be their best album. And I think that their discography is so good and has a lot of depth. And something I was talking about last video as well, the energy of first albums sometimes is just different from the rest of their discography, and I think this is definitely the case of that. Just how fast they're going and how fast they're singing is just a different vibe from even Favorite Worst Nightmare. And I just really like this album. It's really good. It's a no skip. And yeah, you definitely have to listen to it. I recommend it, but I feel like a lot of people have. Okay, so next up, is Favorite Worst Nightmare, which is my favorite Arctic Monkeys album. I think it's, just like the last one, it's got a lot of bangers. It has more of a toned, I feel like a little bit of a toned down energy from the first album, but that creates a nice effect as well, to where it's not as fast paced, so where you can take it a little slower, which I think is nice. Obviously there are slow songs on whatever people say I am, that's why I'm not, but this has, this has the better, like, slower paced songs, in my opinion. Favorite Worst Nightmare, I mean, not Favorite Worst, what is it? It's, Only Ones Who Know is probably my favorite Arctic Monkeys song. And yeah, this is also a no skip. I mean, And skipping forward a little bit, I do not have Humbug and I do not have Suck It in C on CD. I want to get Humbug. I might get Suck It in C just for completion purposes, but it is not it's probably my least favorite Arctic Monkeys album, and I think it's the one where you can, where it's harder to argue that it's the best Arctic Monkeys album. So yeah, so moving past that, AM, which is also a classic Arctic Monkeys record, and I think it deserves that for how iconic it is. And I know people call it generic a lot of the time, especially now. I've been hearing that going around. I don't know if that's a common sentiment, but I've just been hearing some people say it. And while it doesn't have the depth or the vibes of what came before or previously, or wasn't as experimental like before in the future, it wasn't experimental as those albums, I still think it's a really good album with some solid songs on here. And I think this is also a no skip personally, and I think it is still deserves to be talked about as just a really good and iconic album, even though it's not their best album. It's still very good. And next we have Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino, something I just picked up recently. I really like this album. This is a good album. The lounge vibes of this album are really good, and the sounds, the experimentation that Alex Turner does is definitely I just really enjoy it, especially on a science fiction. That's also one of my favorite Arctic Monkeys songs. Yeah, it's just really good, and I really like the way I like the cover art too. Same with Favorite Worst Nightmare. I forgot to mention that I really like the cover art on that too, and this is also something that I really enjoy. And last album, most recent album from the Arctic Monkeys, it is The Car. I've seen a lot online how this is a lot of people's least favorite Arctic Monkeys album. And I really like this album. This is probably one of my favorite Arctic Monkeys albums. And I can see why people might think that, and I can understand and respect it. But at the same time, I think a lot of the songs on this album are really, abstract in a way. And I think that adds a lot of depth to the songs, especially if you listen to it multiple times. It's similar to with Tranquility Base Hotel Casino, where you can pick out different things from the song the more you listen to it, and I think that's really fun. And it also has one of my favorite Arctic Monkeys songs, Jet Skis on the Moat. Just the way he says it, it's fire. I don't know, this is what gets me. And going back a little bit here to the 80s, we have the Buggles, Age of Plastic. This is definitely in my top 5-10 albums of all time, top 5, top 10. Maybe I'll do a video on that sometime in the future. Age of Plastic is just really good. I don't know, it's so fun. Obviously, Video Killed the Radio Star is one of my favorite songs of all time. And, just every song on this album is a bop. It's fun, it's catchy, it's honestly everything you want from like a album from the 80s, a pop album from the 80s, And they released a song recently, and it was atrocious. And I don't think that was them. I refuse to believe that was them. But as I know, this one, they had a previous album that's only on YouTube, and I haven't listened to it, so I'm just going to consider this their only album. And yeah, and a lot of people don't know what the back of the album looks like, and I got jump scared when I saw what the back of the album looks like. But yeah, no, this is another fire album. Okay, and then the next albums we have here are the first is my Mazzy Star, my 2 Mazzy Star CDs. This is She Hangs Brightly, and it was her debut. And yeah, I really enjoy this album. You know, I haven't listened to it as much as So Tonight I Might See. So Tonight That I Might See. But I think it's a really good album, and it's really it's a good Mazzy Star album, you know, similar to her second album. You know, it's good, and I think the quality of this album definitely carries over into her next album. So that Tonight I Might See. Obviously this is the one with all the hits on it. I mean, She Hangs Brightly has some hits on it, including the title track, but this is also one that just has a bunch of hits on it, and I think these 2 albums are absolutely fantastic, and they just sound, you know, some of the, especially a lot of the stripped back songs in production, they just have a really nice sound to them. And yeah. And next album we have the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Not lifting up. Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. I went to the store, or to the record store one day, and you know, I was with my friends, and I saw this, and I knew it. People considered it one of the greatest albums of all time, so I was like, okay, I'll pick it up. And yeah, I can confirm it is probably one of the greatest albums of all time. It has a ton of bobs. The rhythms are really good. The beats are really good, and yeah, I just really enjoy this album. And next we're going into a little more grunge territory for these next 2. Is Alice in Chains' Dirt. This is probably my favorite grunge album. It's the one I listen to the most, and I just really enjoy it. I feel like this is also no skip, and I think my favorite song is probably Rooster. I just think it's a cool song, and I think the especially the guitar in this album is fantastic. And yeah, I just really enjoy this album. Now this one I have not listened to as much as Dirt. This is Soundgarden, Super Unknown, and you know, I like listening to this if I'm in the mood for grunge. You know, if I want to listen to something grunge, but you know, the songs to me aren't as recognizable. Maybe it's because I haven't listened to them as much, except for Black Hole Sun. But yeah, like you know, I just probably need to listen to it more. But it's still a really good album, and I still enjoy it. You know, it's good. It's good. And next up is we have a little bit of classic rock, 80s, or I guess a little 80s rock. To me, this is one of the most underrated albums of the 80s rock era, and I think, you know, got overshadowed by some other albums by bigger bands. Obviously Def Leppard, huge band, you know. I'm not trying to say they're a small band, but I'm saying it got overshadowed in the sense of like the whole album as a complete. And I think this album is really good, no skip, and my favorite song is Rocket. And if you haven't listened to it, you know, I think you should. It's a really good song, and I really enjoy Rocket. You know, I think it's probably one of the best Def Leppard songs. I think it's epic, like super epic in sound. It's grand in scale, you know. And yeah, I just really enjoy this album. But yeah, you probably have listened to it, but if you haven't, it's good. It's good. And this is probably one of my favorite albums of all time. I know I say that about a lot of albums, but I don't know. I just buy the albums that I really, really like, as it turns out. Kate Bush, Hounds of Love. I have not listened to her debut album, and I really want to, because it also seems really good. But yeah, this is also no skipper. Her voice on this album is just phenomenal, and I think that, you know, the hits on this album are super good. And yeah, and just like the like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the sounds on the album, I guess, for lack of a better word, are really good. Obviously, Running Up That Hill is a classic and has been pushed into more classic status. due to Stranger Things. It's how I discovered Kate Bush as an artist. And, you know, Hounds of Love, The Big Sky, Cloud Busting. Obviously, the whole album's good, you know. And it's definitely best listened to in sequential order, I think. I mean, most albums are, but I feel like there are certain albums that benefit from it more, and I think this is one of them. So yeah. Okay, so I've been yapping for a really long time, so this will probably be the last round we do. Part 3 will be coming. I don't listen to new metal that much, but Evanescence Fallen is one of my favorite albums of all time. And I think, you know, I just like all the songs on it. I think it's a no skip. And I think, you know, it creates a cool atmosphere. And I remember one time I was listening to this song while in a bus, and it was fog all around. And I was blasting this album, and I was like, "This is fire! This is awesome!" So yeah, it's just some good memories attached to this one too. De La Soul, 3 Feet High and Rising. Obviously, you know, it speaks for itself. It's De La Soul's debut. So a lot of people say their best album, and they definitely have good albums after this. But I think this is definitely their best album. It's fun, you know. It's creative, and I think, and there's so many songs on it too. It's just a really good album, you know. And I think the game show theme of it is fun too. And the next album we have here is Low End Theory, Tribe Called Quest. This is probably up there with Run DMC and my most listened to hip hop albums. The beats on this one are just, they go insane, and you know, and the songs go so hard, and the lyrics really good. You know, this is also, people say Tribe Called Quest, one of their best albums, and I haven't listened to that much Tribe Called Quest other albums, so I wouldn't know. Like, I don't think I'm qualified to speak on that. Same with De La Soul, you know, I haven't really listened to too much of their discography, but, you know, this is definitely a really good album, and, you know, I really enjoy it, and it definitely makes me want to listen to more Tribe Called Quest. And last 2 CDs we have are the Beatles. You know, Rubber Soul. This is probably one of my favorite Beatles albums. I've only listened to about 3 Beatles albums, so, you know, I've listened to Abbey Road and Yellow Submarine, and this is probably my favorite. I just think the songs are really good. Obviously, it's a no skipper, just like Abbey Road is, but, you know, I think this has more like nostalgic songs to me, more songs with sentimental value, which really what pushes it over the edge. But yeah, I just think this is one of the Beatles' best albums. And next we have Beatles 1. This is just a compilation. And yeah, I mean, similar with the Jimi Hendrix greatest hits. You know, this is like, if you want the Beatles, if you want the classics, you know, obviously it's greatest hits, so you go for this one. And yeah, I think it's really good. There are just so many songs on this album, and it just hit after hit after hit after hit, and you're like, yeah, this is fire. This is awesome. So yeah, that was the second part of my CD collection. There's still quite a bit to go, a kind of a scary amount, if I'm being honest. And yeah, can't think of anything else to say, so I guess I'll see you in part 3. Oh, and the Joji review.